Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tax Resolution Help Center. My name is May. I'll be hosting today's session and introducing today's speaker. I'll also be coordinating the Q&A chat session by the end of the session. I want to congratulate all of you for taking steps to deal with your taxes. Taxes from all sources, including income tax, payroll tax, property tax, excise tax, and sales tax, represent a 35% to 60% reduction in your personal savings and wealth. As you probably know, those with 1% of the wealth in this country have experts to help them pay a small percent of tax. Our goal is to help you reduce how much you pay in tax by educating and informing you in ways to reduce past, present, and future tax expenses. We think you're entitled to live a happier, healthier life by keeping more of what you earn and getting the taxman off your back. Our goal is to provide you good information with the opportunity to ask questions that are important to you. The presentation itself will last about 20 minutes, plus 20 to 30 minutes for you to ask questions by chat. I will select the questions and present them to today's expert. If you wish, you can include your first name and your state. That would be great. Other than that information, your identity is not mentioned. The, the information you are receiving in this session is not specific tax advice. If you want specific tax advice for your situation, you are free to contact today's expert or any of our tax experts at Tax Resolution Help Center. As you know, these group sessions are included in your do it yourself membership fee of $20 per month. If you are not yet a member, please sign up today. We need your financial support. And to better understand what might be on your mind during the session, I might include some pulling questions to ask you. I will then finish with a 5-minute wrap up. Also, a survey will be sent looking for your feedback. And finally, this session will be recorded. The topic for today's session is Monitor Your Tax Transcript, No More Surprises in the Mail. The tax expert for today's session is Sharon Morgan. Sharon is an enrolled agent, admitted to practice before the IRS. She is a certified tax resolution specialist. Sharon has extensive experience in solving IRS tax problems. Her mission is to help clients resolve their IRS tax problems and keep it that way. With that said, introducing Sharon Morgan.
Hello. Can everybody hear me and see me?
Yes, definitely. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, how are you?
Mhm.
All right, are we ready to go?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, hello. My name's Sharon Morgan. I'm here to explain to you about tax reports, tax transcripts, and the 7 things you need to know if you owe the IRS or having any IRS issues. Do I change the screen when I'm ready to go here? Yes. Okay.
Go ahead.
We're going to discuss the 7 things you must know about your IRS transcript. Income tax liability. We're going to look at compliance by year, your estimated CSEDs if you're looking for old tax debt to find out when it might expire. We also always check for first time penalty abatement to see if we can get some of those penalties removed. Some people might be looking to do a bankruptcy discharge, and we need to know those dates when it becomes eligible for potential bankruptcy. One of the most critical things we monitor is your audit risk indicators. And then one of the last things we're going to talk about is how you can see what you've paid and what years it has been applied to, credits and adjustments. Okay, let's get going. For this webinar, we're going to deal with good old John Doe. Very creative, right? Anyways, we're going to be looking from 2010 through 2021 on his IRS transcript report. And as you can see, in the very first column is going to be the year, which is the tax period. The next column over is going to be the total of amount of tax assessed when they filed the tax return. The next column is your failure to file penalties, and that will be broke down by year. When these penalties come into play whenever you file your tax return late and had a liability. If you did not pay on time, there's also the failure penalty. Other penalties could be anything from if the IRS did examine your return and found out that you had some underreporting of income, and that's usually where those penalties will come from. Interest is interest. That's just the way it is. Then you get your total tax liability. Then you'll see all your payments and withholdings that you had by year, any refunds you may have received, and what is left unpaid. So if we go to the very bottom right-hand corner, John Doe owes the IRS with penalties and interest $247,773.97, and that is a lot of money. And I know we do use John Doe, but this is actually a real person. You don't want to be John Doe in this case. So then we go over to the next page, which is you're going to be the compliance page. And this is where we learn a lot about what is going on with you in the IRS. You can see if a return was filed, if an amended return was filed, sometimes if no return was filed, the filing date, the filing status, like if they filed married filing joint, single, married filing separate, head of household, and whatnot. One of the things we really look for here is if there is a lien filed and for which years. If there is a notice of intent to levy, that means you're in very, very active collections and the IRS is looking to either levy your wages with your employer or your bank account. Now, audit, this is really one of the things that we really look for. Let's say your return has been pulled for underreporting of income. We can see that under your audit, under the audit column. We just had a case come to us a couple weeks ago. They hadn't gotten their refund from 2021. They've been waiting on it for a year. They thought they were getting an $8,000 refund. I went in after getting authorization from them and found out that their 2021 tax return is under exam. The client was unaware that it had been pulled for exam. So then I was able to get their wage and income transcripts, a copy of their tax return, and find out that they had huge underreporting of income. So our strategy then is to get an amended return filed before the client is notified so they can avoid the underreporting penalties and kind of get ahead of the IRS on fixing the problem before the examiner finishes it for them. So valuable information there. You can see if they've ever filed an offer in compromise, ever apply for bankruptcy. There's just so much you can learn on this page. Here's some the next page down to see more years. You can see that the client is in currently not collectible status and has been since April 27th of 2022. For some reason, the IRS has yet to file a tax lien, which is a mystery because it's almost always in their policy to secure their interest by filing a tax lien. And they have another active audit here going on since May of 2022. So we're trying to get to the bottom of that as well. This is estimated CSEDs, and this is important if you have an old tax liability and you want to know when it's going to fall off the collection clock. The IRS has 10 years to collect a debt from you once the debt is assessed if there's no tolling days involved. So we have to look at all kinds of things to calculate tolling days, when the tax was assessed, and when it may be falling off the collection clock, which can help you determine what type of resolution you would like to go into with the IRS. This is another page of just more information about CSEDs. First time penalty abatement, huge help here to figure out if the client qualifies for first-time penalty abatement. We were able to get this client a huge abatement for 2010 for $141,000, which is just massive. And that was just because they had had good compliance history for the 3 years leading up to that tax year. This is not the norm. Most penalties that we get abated are generally in between the $5,000 and $20,000 range, but that's still a chunk of change that if you can get that applied to another year where you have a liability, that's a win-win. Okay, for those that might be looking to potentially file bankruptcy, this will let us know. Let's go to the next, I just took it to the next page for the newer years. You can see everything in green are potentials that may qualify for bankruptcy. Of course, you would have to consult with your bankruptcy attorney to have him double verify that they're actually eligible in the state that you live in and what the rules are by state. Audit risk. This is where we really go with the client to see any major differences from one year to the next and what their audit risk might be for any of those tax years. We can only see 4 tax years here because that's as far back as we can go to look at tax returns on the IRS for the audit risk. You can see 2019 has a huge audit risk, almost 41% for underreporting of income. So we'd want to pull wage and income transcripts for that year, compare it to the tax return transcript, and see where that underreporting is coming from, and most likely amend that tax return. Whew, payments and adjustments. This is just kind of fun because you can go by period, by the date that a payment or an adjustment was received, and just see what all you have paid to the IRS, what refunds you have gotten, credits, just on and on and on. There's pages and pages, depending on how long your tax history is, of that type of thing. Are we talking about civil penalties? I guess we'll talk about civil penalties. CSEDs for civil penalties. If you're one of the unfortunate ones that have been assessed a civil penalty, which usually comes from payroll taxes that were left unpaid from a business, and then the IRS will assess what is called a civil penalty or the trust fund recovery penalty to you personally if that business shuts down or it is left unpaid. You, being the responsible party, will personally take responsibility for that amount owed. And let me see, I think I had, did this client have any CSEDs for that? Yes, he does have some civil penalties. And we monitor when those are up so that the client knows which direction they want to go for moving forward on how they want to deal with that personally. You cannot bankrupt on civil penalties, but you can do an offer and compromise if on civil penalties. These pages are just more your wage and income summary. We can go back 10 years and look at all your wage and income that was reported to the IRS. And the reason this is valuable is if we have people come in and say, I have not filed my tax return for 10 years, let's say. So we will get an authorization from them, go in and get their wage and income transcripts going back those 10 years from the IRS. And then we can go back and recreate those back tax returns and know that we're including all income reported to the IRS for that taxpayer by year. Usually we can, usually you only have to go back 6 years, but that just depends. And I included these slides as just an example of what your account transcript looks like by year, where you can see it's more of a breakdown how the taxpayer filed, what their adjusted gross income was, taxable income, total tax, whether there's any self-employment tax, spouse's self-employment tax, withholdings, credits. It's just a breakdown by year of what the IRS has on file for you. You can also see if they had a pending installment agreement established, if amended returns were filed, if a lien was placed, if they're no longer in an installment agreement, just if their passport. That's another thing. When you owe a lot of money to the IRS, they can prevent you from renewing your passport and traveling. So that's something else. Some clients say, hey, we need to travel overseas and we need to get our passport renewed. And it's like, well, we're going to have to figure out a resolution with the IRS first, or you won't be able to renew your passport. So these are just some examples of some of the things that you can see from the tax reports that we are able to get from the IRS on your behalf and before we move forward with any resolution. So that's pretty much my presentation. I know I kind of went through it kind of fast. I just know it so well. So, and you guys might not know it so well. So please let me know any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Sharon. Yes, we do have one question here posted, one of our attendees in Zoom.
Okay.
And this is from Alex, and he's asking if I need my business income tax transcript, do I get it in the same way as my individual tax transcript?
Okay. You have, if Alex, are you asking that you have a business as well and you would like to get a tax transcript for the business to see what's going on with the business? Is that the question?
Yes, I guess that's his question.
Yes. We this also works for business as well. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Sharon. Yes, hi, Gally.
Hi,
Hi,
you guys are
Kelly.
you guys are doing dry run, right?
I don't know. I'm just running.
Okay. Are you done? Do you want to? Can you